I raised a child for 6 years, and on his second meeting with my ex-husband, he clung to his father's leg and wouldn't let go. Mommy, I can't live without Daddy. Please get back together. If you don't get back together with Daddy, I don't want you as my mommy anymore. I stood 10 feet away, looking at the big one and little one who looked exactly alike, their eyes filled with the same threatening smugness. My heart went cold. Fine. Go with your father then. This ungrateful little brat. I'm done with him. I'm the female lead in one of those secret baby romance novels. By the time I realized this, the baby was already 9 months old. Too late for an abortion, so I had to give birth. I had no choice but to wash dishes at a restaurant. While taking care of him, so exhausted that my hair fell out in clumps. When he finally got a bit older, and I found a job that matched my degree, just as I thought better days were ahead, my son suddenly brought me a magazine. It had my ex-husband's photo on it. The little guy tilted his head with innocent eyes. Mommy, who is this person? He looks so familiar. I frowned and took the magazine from him. Mommy doesn't know him. Sweetie, don't worry about these unimportant people. He glumly said. Oh, my baby is named Ryan Johnson, taking my last name. He was about to turn 6 that day. I brought home a cake and a giant doormat plushie. Thinking about my little guy's smile made my heart happy. But when I got home, I only saw him sitting on the sofa with his arms crossed, looking cold. That expression, I had to admit, exact like his father. I found it amusing and casually turned on the lights. Sweetie, what's wrong? Ryan pouted. Mommy, I clearly have a daddy. Why didn't you tell me? I was stunned. Who told you that? He pulled out a newspaper, with news of my divorce from my ex-husband on the front page. Mommy, you had me the year after your divorce. He's my daddy, right? Kids in novels are always so smart. I didn't want to lie to him. Sweetie, he's indeed your father. But Mommy and he have conflicts. We can't live together. You understand, Mommy, right? The little guy hung his head glumly. But I want a daddy. When you're a bit older, Mommy will take you to see Daddy, okay? I gently told him. Even though Mommy dislikes him, you are his son and should go see him. I rarely think about that idiot male lead anymore. Basically worthless from head to toe. Whatever his mother and childhood sweetheart said was gospel. True. While everything I said was just excuse faces and schemes. Even when I was pregnant with Ryan, and his childhood sweetheart pushed me down the stairs. As long as she cried and acted pitiful, the male lead would force me to sign a forgiveness letter. Looking impatient. You're fine, aren't you? Emma is still young. She can't have a criminal record. I think my mercy was not stabbing him when we divorced. But although he and I have grudges, Ryan and he do have a father-son relationship. I never planned to hide it. Moreover, compared to other places, I still hoped Ryan would live in New York. The company recently had a transfer opportunity to New York, so I submitted an application. But before the transfer was approved, the kindergarten teacher called to tell me Ryan was missing. Just during a short recess, the child ran out by himself, leaving a note saying he was going to find his daddy. I was frantic. Skipped work to serve for half the day. So panicked, I could barely hold my phone steady. When I finally got his call, he was excited on the other end. Mommy, I found Daddy. We're on the airplane. Now what? The male lead took the phone, his magnetic voice coming through. Emma, come back to New York. Let's talk. My job transfer wasn't ready yet, but for Ryan's sake, I frantically submitted my resignation and rushed to buy a plane ticket back. Right after landing, I was escorted by the male lead's bodyguards to his mansion. I didn't even have time to scold him, rushing straight to Ryan, seeing his rosy little face as he excitedly played with building blocks. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then anger surged up. Ignoring his struggles, I picked him up and spanked his bottom. What did Mommy tell you? You can't go with strangers. Did you forget? Ryan looked very wronged, even tears gathering in his eyes. But that's Daddy. I was too angry to speak, turning to look at my ex-husband with a cold laugh. If you wanted to see the child, you could have gone through proper channels. Sneaking around like this is really underhanded. My ex-husband smiled slightly and changed the subject. The child is very cute, I answered without hesitation. That has nothing to do with you. He acted like he did hear me. For the child to have a good living environment, let's consider remarrying. Emma. My response was an unhesitating slap. In your dreams. After I scolded Ryan, he sulked in the corner, refusing to eat or drink, stubbornly resisting me. In the end, I felt sorry for him and went to soften up first. Sweetie, Mommy and Daddy really have conflicts. Can't be together anymore. Next time you want to see Daddy, you must tell Mommy first. Do you hear me? He hung his head, taking tiny sips of water, neither speaking nor nodding. As stubborn as his father. That sense of helplessness I often felt when we were married crept back into my bosom, making my heart ache. From birth until now, I was the one who changed his diapers, fed him, milk, rushed him to the hospital when he was sick, and stayed up all night watching over him. I watched him grow from a tiny baby into a 6-year-old child. I don't understand why he wants that absent father so badly. I leaned against the sofa, slowly pressing my temples. What was even more devastating came next. In just 3 days, Ryan disappeared again. I rushed to my ex-husband's company, and just as I was about to take him away, I saw him sitting on the ground, hugging the male lead's leg and crying loudly, shouting at me while crying, "Mommy, I can't live without Daddy. Please get back together. If you don't get back together with Daddy, I don't want you as my mommy anymore." I can't describe exactly how I felt hearing those words. I only know that in that moment, my blood seemed to flow backward, cold sensation spreading from my limbs to my brain. I felt like I died once completely. My ex-husband's eyes held that familiar mock, just like years ago when I stood before him pregnant with Ryan, asking for a divorce. "You'll definitely come back to me, Emma." My heart ached terribly. I slowly crouched down, looked up at the big one and little one, with their strikingly similar faces, and softly asked, "Are you sure, Ryan?" He cried without hesitation, "I want Daddy with me. I want Daddy, all right." I took a deep breath. "Go with your father. Then from now on, I'll pretend I never had a son like you." When I walked out of my ex-husband's company, it was raining outside. In a daze, my heels stepped into puddles, splashing mud onto my calves and staining my skirt, but I barely noticed. 6 years. I raised him for a full 6 years. When he was little and wouldn't drink formula, he bit my bosom so hard they bled, but he kept drew the milk mixed with blood. Even though the pain made my arms tremble, I endured it, wanting him to eat more and build immunity. When he cried at night, I couldn't had to care for him myself, staying up until my hair fell out in clumps, and fine lines appeared around my eyes. When he got a bit older, I worried I wouldn't know how to raise him properly, so I searched everywhere for advice. Being parenting like an academic subject, I bought stacks of books and picture books, joined every parenting group I could find, even paid experts on platforms to ask how to raise a child so he could have a happy childhood. Tears streamed down my face, mixing with mud and rainwater flowing down my cheeks. Following instinct, I stumbled under a tree, sat in the water hugging my knees, and with trembling hands, opened my wallet to pull out Ryan's 100-day photo. From the very back, I stared at that chubby little face for a long time. So long, I even began to doubt whether today's events were just a dream. Ryan didn't hug my ex-husband's leg, didn't say those hurtful words. He was home waiting for me to, and cake home, until I looked up and saw my ex-husband walking out of the company building. Ryan was perched on his shoulders, excitedly hugging his forehead, his cheeks rosy with a shy but joyful smile. I stared blankly. In that moment, saying it was bone-chilling cold wouldn't be an exaggeration. The 100-day photo in my hand fell into the puddle, getting soaked and blurred until I could no longer make out the face. The rain didn't wash me clean, it just made me heavy. I left the photo in the mud. That was the first step. It felt like leaving a limb behind, a phantom pain throbbing in my chest where my heart used to be, but I forced my legs to move. One step. Another. Away from the skyscraper that held the 2 people who shared my DNA and none of my soul. I returned to the apartment. It was filled with the clutter of a 6-year-old, a half-built Lego castle, a stray sock under the coffee table, the faint scent of strawberry toothpaste. Usually this mess was my comfort. Today it was a museum of a life that had just been cancelled. I didn't cry. The tears had run out under that tree. I felt a terrifying, clinical clarity. I am the female lead, I thought, remembering the trope. And in those stories, the mother always waits. She pines. She suffers in silence until the male lead realizes his mistake, and the child cries a few times, and all is forgiven. Screw the plot. I whispered to the empty room. I grabbed a black garbage bag. I didn't pack Ryan's things to send to him. I packed them to purge them. The clothes I had stitched patches onto. The bedtime storybooks I had read until my voice was hoarse. The plushy doormat I had bought for his birthday. I shoved them all into bags. I called the landlord. I'm breaking the lease. Keep the deposit. I called my boss. I accept the transfer, but not to New York. Is the position in London still open? It is, my boss replied, startled. But Emma, you said you couldn't go because of your son. I don't have a son, I said. My voice didn't shake. I can fly out tonight. I left my phone on the kitchen counter. It was buzzing. 12 missed calls. The idiot. 3 missed calls. Ryan via Dad's phone. I stared at the screen lighting up the dark room. I could imagine the scene. Ryan crying because he wanted his familiar pajamas. Alex calling to demand I bring them over like a glorified servant. They expected me to pick up. They expected me to bargain. I turned the phone off. I took the SIM card out and snapped it in half. When I walked out of that apartment with nothing but a suitcase of my own clothes and my laptop, I felt light. It was a terrible, vertiginous lightness, like standing on the edge of a cliff. I boarded the plane to London. As the wheels left the tarmac, I closed my eyes. Goodbye, Ryan Johnson. You wanted your father. You have him. Ryan's perspective. 1 week later. The house was big. Bigger than the park Mommy used to take him to. The ceiling was high, and there were lights that looked like diamonds. Daddy, I'm hungry, Ryan said. He was sitting on a carpet that cost more than his mother's car. Alex didn't look up from his tablet. Tell the maid, Ryan. Her name is Mrs. Higgins, I think. I want Mommy's mac and cheese. Mrs. Higgins is a Michelin star chef. She can make mac and cheese. Ryan hugged his knees. It had been fun for the first 3 days. The toys were endless. He had a robot that could talk. But the robot didn't hug him. When is Mommy coming? Ryan asked. Alex sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Stop asking that. She's just throwing a tantrum. She wants us to chase her. We aren't going to. But she didn't answer the phone. She's playing games. Women like your mother love drama. Just then the front door opened. A woman walked in. She was beautiful, smelling of expensive perfume, but her eyes were sharp like glass shards. This was Emma, the auntie Daddy liked. The one Mommy said pushed her down the stairs. Alexander, she cooed, ignoring Ryan completely. Are we still on for the gala tonight? Of course, Alex stood up, his face softening. What about the kid? She glanced at Ryan like he was a stain on the upholstery. The nanny will watch him. Ryan stood up. I don't want a nanny. I want Mommy. Emma, the bad Emma, laughed. God, Alex, he's loud. Does he have an off switch? He's just adjusting, Alex said, his voice tight. He looked at Ryan. Go to your room, Ryan. Stop embarrassing me. Ryan froze. His mother had never looked at him with embarrassment. Even when he threw up on her at the mall, even when he screamed in the supermarket, she had just held him and whispered, "It's okay, baby." He ran upstairs. He found the phone the nanny had left. He dialed Mommy's number. He knew it by heart. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. Ryan sat on the floor of the room that was full of toys but empty of warmth. The silence of the mansion was different from the silence of their small apartment. This silence had teeth. 2 years later. London suited me. The gray sky matched my soul, but the city was alive, indifferent, and busy. Just the way I liked it. I worked. God, did I work. Without a child to rush home to, without the mental load of pediatrician appointments and playdates, I poured every ounce of my energy into my career. I rose from a senior analyst to a director of operations in 18 months. My hair grew back. It was thick, glossy, and cut into a sharp bob. I wore tailored suits. I learned to drink scotch without wincing. I dated occasionally. Men who were kind, men who were interesting. But I kept them at arm's length. The part of me that could love unconditionally had been cauterized. I never Googled them. I never asked mutual friends about them. I built a wall so high that not even a whisper could get over. Until the day the magazine landed on my desk. It was a business weekly. The Johnson Empire in crisis. Stock prices plummet amid divorce rumors and heirs' behavioral issues. I shouldn't have looked. But I did. There was a photo of Alex. He looked older, tired. The smugness was gone, replaced by a deep furrow between his brows. And in the background, a blurry photo of a child being escorted into a car by a bodyguard. Ryan. He was 8 now. In the photo, he was scowling. He looked thin. He was kicking at the bodyguard. I felt a phantom tug at my uterus. A physical ache. But I crushed it down. Emma. I looked up. Julian, the CEO of the firm, was leaning against my doorframe. Julian was everything Alex wasn't. Calm, observant, and devoid of ego. You're staring at that page like you want to set it on fire, he noted. Just old news, I said, flipping the magazine into the bin. We have a meeting with the New York partners next week, Julian said. They want the director of ops there. It's a merger discussion. Johnson Corp is one of the parties. My blood ran cold. I can send someone else. Emma, Julian stepped into the room. He knew parts of my story, the broad strokes. You're the best I have. And honestly, if you never go back, you never really leave. The ghost is still haunting you. I looked at the trash bin. Fine, I said. I'll go. But on my terms. Part 4. The Reckoning. New York hadn't changed, but I had. I walked into the conference room wearing a crimson suit that cost more than my old annual salary. I sat at the head of the table next to Julian. When the doors opened and Alexander Johnson walked in, the air left the room. He stopped. He blinked. He looked like he had seen a ghost. Emma, he whispered. Ms. Lane. I corrected, not looking up from my documents. Shall we begin, Mr. Johnson? Your quarterly projections are concerning. The meeting was a massacre. I dismantled his business strategy with surgical precision. I pointed out the flaws in his logistics, the bleeding revenue streams. I was professional, cold, and utterly terrifying. Alex stared at me the whole time. He wasn't listening to the numbers. He was looking at my hair, my hands, the way I commanded the room. When the meeting ended, he cornered me in the hallway. "You're in London," he said. It wasn't a question. "I am. I looked for you. For months. You vanished. That was the point. Ryan asks for you," he blurted out. The name hit me like a physical blow. I stopped walking. I turned to face him. "Does he?" I asked, my voice flat. "He's difficult." Alex ran a hand through his hair. "He hates Sarah. He hates the nannies. He got expelled from 2 schools. He screams that he wants you. Emma, you have to come see him. You made your point. You won." I laughed. It was a dry, humorless sound. "I didn't win anything, Alex. I lost a son. He made a choice. You made a choice." He was 6. He was a baby. He was old enough to know who wiped his tears and who was a stranger in a magazine. I hissed, stepping closer. "And you? You told me I was easily replaced. So I replaced myself." "Please," Alex's voice cracked. The arrogance was gone, stripped away by the reality of single parenthood. He was never equipped for just one dinner. He's miserable. I'm failing him. I looked at this man who had once held my entire world in his careless hands. I felt nothing but pity. "I'm flying back tomorrow," I said. "Tonight. Please. Come to the house." My heart hammered against my ribs. Did I want to see him? Did I want to see the damage? "Fine," I said. 1 hour. The mansion was silent when I entered. No laughter. No music. Alex led me to the living room. Sarah, the childhood sweetheart, was there drinking wine on the sofa. She looked up, saw me, and sneered. "Great. The help is back." "Get out, Sarah," Alex said quietly. "Excuse me." I said, "Get out. We're done." She stared at him, smashed her glass on the floor, and stormed out. I didn't flinch. "He's in his room," Alex said. I walked up the grand staircase. My legs felt heavy. I opened the door to the room at the end of the hall. It was a mess. Not a happy mess, but a violent one. Toys smashed against the walls. Bedsheets torn. Ryan was sitting on the floor, facing the window. He was thin. His hair was too long. He was wearing an old t-shirt that was 2 sizes too small, one I recognized. It was a shirt I had bought him when he was 5. "Ryan," I said softly. He froze. His shoulders tensed up. He turned around slowly, as if he was afraid he was hallucinating. When he saw me, his face crumpled. "Mommy." He didn't run to me. He scrambled backward, pressing himself against the wall. He looked terrified. "Mommy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." He started chanting it, rocking back and forth. "I didn't mean it. I want you. I don't want Daddy. I hate Daddy. Please don't be dead. Please don't be gone." My resolve, my anger, my female lead plot armor, it all shattered. I wasn't a CEO. I wasn't a vengeful ex-wife. I was a mother. I crossed the room in 2 strides and fell to my knees, pulling him into my arms. He screamed when I touched him, a raw, guttural sound of relief and agony. He clung to me, his fingers digging into my blazer, burying his face in my neck. He smelled like dust and neglect. "I'm here," I whispered, tears finally spilling over. "I'm here, baby." "You left," he sobbed. "You really left. You told me to. I was stupid. I was a baby. I just wanted. I thought." He couldn't finish the sentence. He just howled. Alex was standing in the doorway. I looked up at him. He was crying, silent tears streaming down his face. He looked at the bond between us, a primal force he had tried to buy and failed. I held Ryan until he stopped shaking. Then I pulled back and cupped his face. "Look at me." He looked. His eyes were red, swollen, but they were my Ryan's eyes again. "Pack your bag," I said. Ryan's eyes widened. Can I come with you?" "I'm not staying here," I said. "And I'm not leaving you here." I stood up and turned to Alex. "I'm taking him." "Emma, you can't just try to stop me," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "Go ahead. Call your lawyers. I have the money now, Alex. I have the power. And I have a witness to child neglect. Look at this room. Look at him." Alex looked at his son, who was clutching my hand like it was a lifeline. Ryan looked at his father with fear, then looked at me with adoration. Alex slumped against the doorframe. He looked defeated. "Take him," he whispered. I can't do it. I thought I could, but I can't. Epilogue, the rewrite. We didn't go back to the way things were. You can't unbreak a plate, even if you glue it back together. The cracks remain. I took Ryan to London. The first 6 months were hard. He had nightmares. He was clingy, terrified that if he let go of my hand, I would vanish again. We went to therapy, separately and together. I had to learn to trust him again. To look at him and not hear the words, "I don't want you." He had to learn that love isn't something you trade for a bigger house. Alex tried to visit once. Ryan refused to see him. "Maybe when I'm older," Ryan had said, hiding behind my leg, the same way he had once hidden behind Alex's. "But not now." 3 years have passed since that night in New York. It's a Sunday. Rain is lashing against the windows of our townhouse in Kensington. The smell of roasting chicken fills the air. Julian is in the kitchen, helping Ryan with his math homework. They are laughing. "Mom," Ryan yells. He's 11 now. Tall, lanky, happy. Julian says he's going to beat me at FIFA later. Tell him he's dreaming. He's definitely dreaming, I call back, smiling. I walk over to the window. I see my reflection. I don't look like the exhausted dishwasher from the restaurant. I don't look like the discarded ex-wife. I wrote my own ending. The secret baby romance novel wanted me to forgive the billionaire, to submit to the family unit, to accept the crumbs of affection. Instead, I built a kingdom. I saved the prince. And I left the king in his empty castle to rot. Ryan runs into the room and hugs me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. "You okay, Mom?" I lean back into him. "I'm perfect, sweetie." And for the first time in a decade, I actually am.